Have you ever wondered if talking about your dreams too early could actually be the reason they never come true? It feels natural to share. When you're excited, when you're inspired, when you finally decided to go after something big, it's hard to keep quiet. You want people to know. You want them to believe in it the way you do. So you talk, you explain, you tell your story. But what if that very moment, when you open your mouth and speak, is the moment you lose a part of your momentum? What if the power of your dream starts to weaken the second it's exposed to the world? You live in a time where everyone shares everything. A new idea? Post it. A fresh start? Announce it. A goal in progress. Make it public. But here's what no one tells you. Energy leaks through every word you say. Every time you talk about what you're going to do, you trade a little bit of your focus for attention. And while it may feel like motivation, it's often just temporary noise. The applause you get for simply starting can create the illusion that you've already achieved something. That illusion is dangerous because now your brain feels rewarded for something it hasn't earned, and slowly the urgency to act fades away. There's something powerful about silence. Not the silence that hides in fear, but the kind that protects, the kind that says, I'm working, I'm building. I don't need to be seen yet. That's where real strength grows. In quiet rooms, in unseen hours, in the part of your journey no one else is watching. When you stay silent, you keep your energy inside. You focus, you stay hungry. You don't waste time convincing people who don't understand your vision. Here, Renee. You let your actions do the talking. Because the truth is, most people won't understand your story. Not yet. They'll hear your goals and measure them by their own limitations. They'll project their fears onto your future. Not because they're trying to stop you, but because they don't see what you see. And that's okay. You don't need them to see it. You need to see it. You need to believe in it when no one claps, when no one asks, when no one cares. That's where greatness begins. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. So if you're holding a dream, protect it. If you're building something real, keep it close. If you're changing, transforming, becoming, don't rush to speak. Let the silence shape you. Let it strengthen you. Let it filter out the noise so only the truth remains. You don't have to tell the world your story right now. You just have to live it. And when it's time, when you've grown strong enough, the results will speak for you. That's the reward. Clarity, focus, and a future that no one saw coming but you. Stay with this. There's more you need to hear. Most people lose the battle before it even begins, not because they aren't talented, not because they don't have potential, but because they talk more than they move. They chase recognition before results. They crave applause before they've earned it. And it's not their fault. It's a trap built into the way the mind works. When you share a goal out loud, your brain receives a false reward. It gives you a chemical boost, the same one it gives when you actually accomplish something. But the danger is that you haven't accomplished anything yet. You've just imagined it, spoken it, made it feel real in conversation, but not in reality. That's why dreams die in the daylight of early exposure. They get too much light before they've grown roots. And when the hard days come, and they always come, there's nothing holding them in place. No foundation. Just a moment of excitement followed by a long stretch of struggle without the energy to survive it. And the worst part, you already got the validation. You already felt seen. So now, pushing through the pain feels harder. The reward came too soon, and now there's nothing left to chase. You have to protect your hunger. It's the one thing that will carry you through when nothing's working. When you're tired, when you're doubting, when you feel invisible, that fire, that deep personal drive is worth more than any compliment, any like, any cheer from the sidelines. But once you feed that fire to the crowd, it fades. Because now you're waiting for others to refuel it. And if they don't, you stop. You question everything. You lose momentum. The truth is, no one owes you belief. No one owes you understanding. And that's a gift, because it forces you to depend on yourself. It forces you to build strength where no one can see it. And when you learn to do that, when you learn to show up for your dream without needing anyone to clap, you become unstoppable. You stop being addicted to attention. You stop chasing motivation and start creating it from within. You stop talking and start building. Silence gives you that edge. It gives you space to breathe, to fail, to grow without judgment. It gives you freedom to focus on the process, not the perception. And when you do that, when you fall in love with the work, not the reaction, you start to rise. Quietly, relentlessly, with a power that doesn't need to be explained. You become someone who doesn't just dream, but delivers. So ask yourself, do you want to impress people for a moment or impact the world for a lifetime? Because one path is easy. It feels good quickly, but fades fast. The other demands discipline, restraint, silence, but it leads to something real, something lasting. Hold your vision close, let it grow in secret. And when it's ready, it won't need to be introduced. It'll speak for itself. Keep going. You haven't even scratched the surface. When people underestimate you, don't take it as an insult. Take it as an invitation. Because being doubted is not a disadvantage. It's freedom. It means no one is watching. No one is expecting. And that gives you space to build without pressure. While they sleep on your potential, you gain time. Time to sharpen your skills, strengthen your mindset, and develop something no one saw coming. The quiet season is your greatest ally. It's where transformation happens. Not with noise, not with praise, but with grit, focus, and the courage to keep going when no one believes. Let them overlook you. Let them laugh. Let them say you're not ready, not smart enough, not strong enough. Let them put you in a box you were never meant to fit inside. Their doubt is not your truth. Their limits are not your ceiling. You were never meant to be understood at the beginning. Greatness never looks obvious in its early stages. It looks average. It looks messy. It looks like nothing special. But inside, something is happening. Something real. Something powerful. And that's what matters most. What's happening on the inside, far away from the spotlight. The more they doubt you, the more room you have to grow without distraction. You're not performing. You're not proving. You're building. And that's the difference between those who talk and those who rise. The ones who rise don't need to be seen right away. They know what's coming. They know what they're becoming, and they use every moment of underestimation as fuel, not failure. Don't waste energy trying to explain your worth to people who can't see it. That's not your job. Your job is to become undeniable. So undeniable that when they finally look, they can't ignore what you've done. But to reach that point, you have to stay focused when it's quiet, when no one's asking, when no one cares. That's the test. That's where most give up, because silence feels like rejection. But it's not. Yeah. It's the signal that you're in the right place. The place where real growth happens. Alone, unnoticed, relentless. Use every ounce of doubt as motivation. Not to react, not to defend, but to rise, silently, consistently, day after day. Because the ones who win are not the loudest in the beginning. They're the most disciplined in the dark. They don't need recognition to keep moving. They don't need approval to keep building. They move because the vision is too clear, the fire too strong, the mission too real. So let the world misjudge you. Let them count you out. Just make sure you never count yourself out. That's the only judgment that ever matters. Because when you keep going in silence, when you keep working in the shadows, you build something no one can take from you. You build power. You build resilience. You build proof. And when it's time to show the world, you won't need to speak. You'll simply arrive, unshaken, unstoppable, undeniable. Keep building. The silence is working for you. Silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's the presence of control. Every time you choose not to speak, not to explain, not to defend what you're building, you reclaim your power. Because in silence, you are no longer reacting to the world, you are leading yourself. But most people never feel that power. They give it away little by little, with every post, every announcement, every conversation that begins with "I'm going to" and ends with nothing. They talk themselves into false comfort. And comfort is where drive goes to die. The more noise you allow into your mind, the more you dilute your direction. Every opinion, every suggestion, every question from someone who doesn't understand your purpose, it all chips away at your clarity. And without clarity, you can't execute. Without execution, your dream stays frozen in your imagination. Not because it wasn't possible, but because it was exposed to too many voices too soon. You are not required to share your progress. You are not obligated to update the world on your every move. You don't owe anyone a preview of your purpose, especially when it's still forming, especially when it's still fragile. Not every idea is ready for discussion. Some things are meant to be protected until they're strong enough to defend themselves through action. Let your work speak when it's ready. Until then, let silence guard your process. The noise will always tempt you. People will ask what you're doing. They'll pressure you for plans, timelines, answers. And if you're not grounded, you'll start shaping your vision to please them. You'll adjust your goals to avoid their doubt. You'll over-explain just to feel understood. And in the process, you'll forget why you started. You'll forget that this journey was never about being accepted. It was about becoming aligned with your purpose, your values, your deepest potential. Peace is a competitive advantage. In a world that thrives on distractions, the ability to stay silent, focused, and emotionally grounded is a superpower. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to argue with disbelief. The most powerful moves are often the quietest. They're made without permission, without performance, without an audience. The more you disconnect from the noise, the more you reconnect with yourself. That's where the real answers live. That's where the clarity lives. Not in the feedback, not in the commentary, but in the stillness, in the space where your vision has room to breathe, room to grow, room to become real. You don't have to be loud to be legendary. You don't have to explain your every step to matter. What you're building deserves your full energy, not half of it scattered across other people's opinions. Keep your focus intact. Protect your mind from unnecessary voices. Make silence your strategy. Let your discipline be louder than your words. Let your execution drown out the noise. Stay quiet, stay sharp, and remember, your results will speak with a volume no voice ever could. There's a quiet kind of strength that doesn't need attention. It doesn't seek credit. It doesn't ask to be noticed. It simply shows up day after day, building something real. That strength lives in discipline. It lives in the choice to keep going without applause. It lives in the moments when no one is watching, but you move forward anyway. That is where success begins. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not with recognition, but with consistency. What you build in silence is often the most unshakable, because it's forged through intention, not performance. You don't need to constantly share your progress to validate your path. You don't need to open your process to everyone in order to make it meaningful. What you need is focus, and focus is fragile. It's shattered by too many eyes, too many opinions, too many questions pulling your mind in every direction. You can't build something solid on a shaky foundation. And every time you explain your every move, you weaken the roots. You give away small pieces of your clarity to people who haven't earned the right to shape it. Privacy isn't about hiding. It's about protecting. It's about creating an environment where your vision can grow without being judged prematurely. When something is in its early stages, it's vulnerable. It's still forming, still adapting. And if you expose it too soon, you risk shaping it around fear instead of truth. That fear doesn't always come from within. Sometimes it comes from the people who claim to care but secretly hope you stay small. Sometimes it comes from well-meaning voices who love you but don't understand you. That's why your dream doesn't need to be shared until it's strong enough to stand on its own. You don't need external validation to keep going. You need internal alignment. You need to be so connected to what you're doing that nothing outside of you can shake it. That kind of power doesn't come from talking. It comes from working, from failing privately, from learning without broadcasting, from staying so rooted in your mission that doubt can't find a way in. The more you keep your process sacred, the more powerful your progress becomes. Because now you're not moving to impress. You're moving to evolve. You're not sharing to be seen. You're growing to be unshakable. Every quiet step forward becomes a statement. Every silent decision becomes a declaration of self-trust. You don't need the world to understand your pace. You just need to respect your own rhythm. The pace that honors your mental peace. The rhythm that keeps you grounded in truth. There will come a time when your results can't be ignored. But for now, let the silence be your protection. Let it be your shield from distraction, from doubt, from delay. Stay committed, stay unseen, stay unstoppable, because the longer you build in private, the more undeniable you become in public. Rejection is not the end. It's the test before the breakthrough. It's the storm that shapes your strength. Most people take rejection personally. They carry it like a wound. They replay the words, the looks, the silence. They start to believe that a closed door means they aren't worthy. But rejection is not a reflection of your value. It's a challenge to your resilience. It asks you one question. Will you keep going when no one claps? That question defines everything. Because what you do after rejection reveals who you really are. You're going to hear no. Not just once, not just from strangers, but from people you trusted, people you respected, people who told you they believed in you until they didn't. You're going to experience doors closing without explanation, Opportunities disappearing just as they were within reach. That's the process. Not a punishment, preparation. Every time something doesn't go your way, you are being handed a choice. Shrink or sharpen, break down or break through. Let it define you or let it drive you. Rejection forces you to find a deeper reason, a reason that's not based on applause or outcome, a reason that comes from within. If your purpose can't survive rejection, it's not real yet. But if you can stand in the silence of disappointment and still move forward, you've already won something far more powerful than approval. You've built unshakable belief. You don't need everyone to see your value. You don't need every opportunity to say yes. You just need one reason to keep showing up. One reason that outlives the rejection. And that reason will only grow stronger if you stop looking outward and start digging inward. Let every no fuel your next step. Let every doubt be a reminder that your worth was never theirs to measure. Their opinion isn't your identity. Their disbelief doesn't mean you should quit. It means you should get louder in your actions, not in your words. Rejection teaches you how to create your own momentum. When no one opens a door, build one. When no one calls, keep working. When it feels like nothing is moving, become the movement. That's how growth works. Not with comfort, not with easy wins, but with repeated resistance that builds mental muscle. You weren't meant to be handed success. You were meant to earn it, build it, and rise into it with grit that no one can take away. The pain of rejection is temporary, but the strength it gives you is permanent if you let it be. Don't run from the no's. Let them sharpen your vision. Let them deepen your drive. You don't need to explain why you're still trying. Just keep trying. Just keep building. And when the world finally sees what you've created, it won't be in spite of rejection. It will be because of how you used it. Let the no's mold you into someone unstoppable. You don't need to convince anyone. Not with words, not with promises, not with explanations. Let your results do what your voice never has to. Because results don't argue, they don't beg to be believed. They don't need to be dressed up or defended. Results are silent proof. They carry weight that words can't touch. Gee. And when you live in a world that's louder than ever, full of opinions, noise, and distractions, the ones who separate themselves are not the ones who talk the most. It's the ones who build the most. Every time you're tempted to speak about what you're going to do, pause. Ask yourself if you're saying it for impact or if you're saying it to escape the pressure of staying quiet and doing the work. The pressure to perform fades fast, but the pressure to follow through stays. That's why so many people get stuck in the cycle of declaring, delaying, then disappearing. Koala. They get addicted to the reaction and forget the responsibility. But true momentum doesn't come from speaking. It comes from showing up, especially when no one asks, when no one watches, when no one believes but you. There's no shortcut to trust. And trust is what results create. When people see consistency, they start to listen. When they see follow through, they start to believe. When they see outcomes, they can't ignore what you've become. But until then, speaking too soon can sabotage what you haven't finished building. Potential is fragile. If you expose it before it's ready, it's easier for others to question it, and even easier for you to start questioning it too. Build in silence, so the only thing left to speak for you is undeniable progress. Let your results carry the message. Let them do what talk can never do. Change perception without argument. When they ask how you did it, you won't have to say much. They'll see it. They'll feel it. And the truth will be in the work, not the words. You don't owe anyone your unfinished plans. You owe yourself the discipline to finish them before you speak. Because when your actions finally align with what you once only imagined, the world will respond, not with noise, but with respect. And respect that's earned through action is the only kind that lasts. No one can take it. No one can argue it. It's grounded in reality, built from proof, and fueled by consistency. Stop needing to be heard and start committing to being seen. Seen through execution, through effort, through outcomes that silence every doubt. You don't have to announce that you're on your way. Just walk the path with unwavering intent. Let them find out through your results, not your reasons. Speak less. Build more. Prove everything through motion. And when you finally arrive, they'll know not because you told them, but because the work left no room for questions. Silence is not weakness. It's strategy. The strongest individuals don't always speak first. They don't broadcast their next move. They don't spend their energy trying to be understood by those who have already decided not to understand. Instead, they listen. They observe, they study, and while others are busy trying to prove something, they're focused on becoming something. That's where true power begins. Not with volume, but with vision. The type of vision that's clear, steady, and immune to noise. When you speak too soon, you invite resistance before you're ready to face it. You hand over your ideas to opinions that were never meant to shape them. Every dream has a vulnerable stage, a point where it needs your full commitment, not divided attention. When you keep it to yourself, you give it space to grow roots. You give it the privacy to evolve without pressure, without performance. That's where lasting confidence is built. Quietly. Through discipline, not display. There's a kind of pressure that only comes when others are watching. Correct, it changes the way you move. You start performing for approval instead of executing for progress. You start measuring your worth by how they respond, instead of how you grow. That's when the mission gets blurry. That's when the vision starts to slip away from you. But when you choose silence, you remove the distraction. You come back to the reason you started. Not for recognition. And purpose doesn't beg to be seen. It demands to be honored. Let your ambition be private. Let your work be sacred. Not everything needs to be shared. Not everyone needs to know. Because the more you give away in words, the less you have left in action. Every moment you spend explaining your plan is a moment stolen from executing it, and execution is all that matters. Not the promise of what's coming, not the excitement of a goal announced, but the quiet, focused grind that turns intention into reality. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs happen when no one is clapping, when no one sees the progress, when no one even knows what you're carrying. And that's exactly how it should be. Because that pressure, the pressure to do it without support, without validation, without eyes on you, that's what shapes resilience. That's what makes you unstoppable. Not because it was easy, but because you didn't need the world to cheer for you before you earned it. Let your silence speak of patience. Let your efforts speak of belief. Let your results speak of everything you were building when they thought you were doing nothing. You don't owe the world a preview. You owe yourself the process. Hold your vision with quiet confidence. Move in silence with unwavering purpose, and let your journey unfold not in noise, but in undeniable impact. That's how you build something that can never be ignored, by refusing to seek permission and choosing instead to deliver proof. There is nothing more powerful than quiet conviction. The kind of conviction that doesn't flinch when no one agrees, that doesn't shrink when no one applauds, that doesn't pause to explain itself just to be validated. It's the fire that burns without needing fuel from the outside. It lives in those who know exactly where they're going, even if no one else understands the path. And that kind of clarity doesn't come from talking. It comes from walking, from doing the work without the need for attention, from believing so deeply that silence becomes a shield, not a prison. The world is noisy. It rewards those who shout, who post, who broadcast their intentions. But noise is not power. Noise fades. Noise entertains for a moment and then disappears. What lasts, what leaves impact, is the work, the process, the product of persistence behind the scenes. Anyone can announce their potential. Only a few have the strength to protect it, nurture it, and turn it into something real before ever revealing it. Because real growth doesn't scream for attention. It prepares in the dark, in the quiet, in the invisible hours that no one claps for. If you're building something meaningful, it will take more than skill. It will take restraint. It will take the courage to stay silent when you want to be seen. The wisdom to protect your process instead of performing it. The discipline to keep moving without needing external motivation. That's how you develop the kind of character that doesn't just chase a dream, but becomes the person capable of holding it. No dream survives without transformation. And transformation doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the struggle, in the repetition, in the moments where it feels like no one is paying attention because they're not supposed to. You are not here to impress. You are here to evolve. And that evolution is not for public display. It's for you. So you can show up stronger. So you can build something that actually lasts. Fast. So you can look back and know that you didn't just talk about it. You earned it. Every time you choose silence, you choose depth. You choose power over performance. You choose strength over validation. And that choice, repeated over time, changes who you are. You stop needing the world's attention and you start commanding it without words. Because when you arrive built, ready, undeniable, there's no need to explain. The work speaks. The energy speaks. The consistency speaks. Don't let the pressure to be seen distract you from the path. Don't let the urge to share rob you of the clarity you need to build. Hold your vision close. Guard your process. Be so deeply rooted in your purpose that you don't waver, even when no one understands. Stay quiet. Stay grounded. Stay focused. The most powerful things are built in silence, and when they emerge, they move the world. The truth is, not everyone needs to know your journey. You don't owe the world every detail of your struggle or every step of your climb. The less you share, the more you protect what matters most, your energy, your focus, your faith in yourself. People will judge your silence as weakness or mystery, but it's neither. It's power in disguise. It's the ability to hold space for your dreams without distraction. To move quietly, deliberately, without the weight of outside expectations or opinions. This is the space where transformation happens, where the seeds you plant take root and grow strong. When you keep your story private, you refuse to let external voices rewrite your narrative. You control your own story because you know it's still being written. You understand that the world doesn't get to define your worth or your potential before you've had the chance to fully show up. That kind of control is rare, and it's necessary. Without it, you lose yourself in the noise. You become a reflection of what others want you to be, instead of the architect of who you're becoming. There is freedom in protecting your story, in deciding when, how, and to whom you reveal your truth. Your focus becomes sharper when you aren't scattered trying to explain, defend, or justify your path. The less you share, the more time and energy you have to refine your craft, build your skills, and strengthen your mindset. Silence becomes your ally, not your enemy. It is a powerful force that guards your vision against premature exposure, skepticism, and doubt. It shelters you from the temptation to seek validation outside of yourself, and it anchors you to the reality that your worth is not determined by who knows your story, but by how deeply you live it. Choosing silence is a radical act of self-trust. It's telling yourself that your journey is sacred, that your growth is personal, and that your results will speak louder than your explanations ever could. You don't need applause to keep going. You don't need recognition to stay committed. Your motivation must come from within, from the fire burning in your soul, the unshakable belief that what you're building matters. When you can hold that belief without anyone else's approval, you become unstoppable. Oh yeah. This is how you create something real. Not through public declarations, but through private persistence. Not through telling the world your plans, but by quietly proving them right. Let your silence be a sign of strength, not fear. Let it be a testament to your discipline, not doubt. Because when you finally reveal what you've been working on, it won't be because you needed permission. It will be because you earned it. Your story doesn't belong to the crowd. It belongs to you. Guard it fiercely. Protect it with your silence. And watch as your quiet power moves mountains.